Chapter 19. Preparations for an Immaculate Conception. Let us now consider how a Superman child may be immaculately conceived. First, its parents should not be under 35 years of age, the time when they reach full physical, mental, and spiritual maturity. The reason why the ovum is not immaculately conceived when birth control methods are used is because there is not a sufficiently strong electrical current then generated, which only exists when the vital fluid is conserved not only for several years before, but also during the act. For several years previous to conception, they should live in chastity, studying their mutual adaptability, and striving to make closer their inner soul attunement. During this period they should avoid both physical and magnetic contact, so that their vital electricities might be at greatest intensity, and of the most opposite polarity, at the time of conception. For an immaculate conception to be possible, a strong electrical attraction, or difference in potential, should exist between the parents. The greater their combined vitalities, the more perfect will be the child. During this time, they should live in the country, preferably among the mountains, so that they may breathe in the pure, invigorating ozone, and be daily bathed by the vitalizing ultraviolet rays. They should subsist on a strict fruit diet. Fruits are charged with higher solar vibrations, containing radioactive energy which electrifies the body. This vitalization of the organism is greatly augmented by ultraviolet sun baths, which are necessary in preparation for an immaculate conception. Sunlight intensifies the body's vital magnetism, invigorates the ductless glands, electrifies the seminal fluid, and enlivens the reproductive cells. New life and energy are brought about by a process which may be called a transmutation of electronic energy into physical and mental force. Redfield and Bright of Harvard Medical School found that seeds which had been exposed to the action of radium rays grew more rapidly than seeds not so treated. Hughes and Payne of Manhattan College, Kansas, found that hens exposed to ultraviolet rays laid 4 times as many eggs as the other hens. Professor Dawson Turner recently stated that by treating frogs' eggs with radium, he had bred frogs 3 times their normal size. Bailey Radium Laboratories, Radithor. It must be remembered that an immaculate conception is not possible until the parents have, for at least a year, cured themselves of seminal emissions and menstruation, which may be accomplished by the fruit and nut diet, and by continent living. This conservation of vital fluid would sufficiently augment their electromagnetic radiations to make an immaculate conception possible. A menstruating woman has not sufficient vitality to conceive immaculately, nor a man subject to seminal emissions become the father of a Superman. Therefore, the mothers of Supermen were either barren, having not menstruated for many years previously, as in the case of Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Samson, Samuel, Moses, Mary, and John the Baptist, or virgins who have not yet commenced to menstruate, as in the case of Zoroaster and Jesus. It was a custom among the Essenes, which was practiced prior to the births of Mary, Jesus, and John, that prospective parents should live in chastity and should know each other for at least 3 years before conception. When parents live hygienically and continently, there will be no menopause or senility, and they will both be able to retain their reproductive capacities throughout their lives, which should be several centuries in length. While those who live in the poisonous atmosphere of the city, eating unnatural food, and depleting their vital forces by incontinence, have not enough magnetic power to conceive immaculately, those who lead this life among the mountains would be unable to do so. And while 2 weak electric poles require a material conductor, between 2 strong ones, a current may be established directly through the ether. By the initiative of the future mother, male and female magnetism should, in a passionless and spiritual way, come into sufficient proximity to electrically impregnate and enliven the egg. Professor Elmer Gates has demonstrated that evil emotions, such as fear, remorse, and anger, create poisons in the blood which tend to retard or stop the growth of the cells of the body, while the good emotions, as peace, joy, happiness, produce secretions which bring about a normal development of those cells. These secretions affect the reproductive cells, as well as the soma cells of the individual. Therefore, Professor Gates urges parents to put themselves in training and cherish only the right kind of emotions, the inspiring, high-grade feelings, for 6 months or a year before the initial of a new life takes place, in order that the reproductive cells may be perfectly formed and have in them the foundation for a strong, vigorous constitution in the offspring. The month previous to conception should be one of special training, for at that time the ovum that is to be conceived is maturing, greatly increasing in size. The character of the human egg is entirely determined by the blood from which it is formed. The quality of this blood, in turn, is influenced by the varying physiological and psychological conditions of the mother, by her diet, and by her glandular secretions. The more hygienic her diet, and the longer her chastity previous to conception, the more vital will be the ovum, and the more physically, mentally, and spiritually perfect will be the coming child. During this period of preparation, which should take place in a special eugenic community, prospective parents should concentrate their energies upon the cultivation of those talents which are to constitute the child's predetermined future life work.